Rosh. Welcome to the e-commerce and digital fashion panel. Hi, it's really nice to have you with us. So Rosh Mahtani, you are the designer and founder of Alighieri Jewelry. You grew up in Zambia and you moved to London when you were 9 years old. You are graduated from Oxford University with a degree in French and Italian literature. And you launched your brand in 2014, your accessories brand, with no formal training in jewelry making. Stuck by the likes of My Teresa, Matches Fashions, and Farfetch, to name just a few. You have collaborated with the likes of Louise Trotter at Joseph, and you launched your first fashion show in 2019. You also won the Queen Elizabeth II Award for British Design in 2020. Rosh, you also are someone who is strongly believing in sustainable and transparent practices, and you strive to keep carbon footprint low by using local craftsmen who manufacture your products from your studio located in the London's oldest jewelry district of Hatton Garden. Rosh, thank you again for your time. So let's kick off and start with what I just said. So you were not meant to become a designer. Can you please tell us more about this? How did your career in fashion begin? And how did you transition into this jewelry design?
Sure. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction and for having me. It's such a pleasure to be part of this discussion. As you said, I studied French and Italian at university, and I did not study design at all. But when I graduated, I think like many other people in their early 20s, was really struggling to know what I wanted to do with my life. I was quite lost. I knew I wanted to do something creative, but I also loved writing and I loved business and I liked numbers, and it was quite a dark time actually, because I felt like I just didn't know which path to go down. And I kept rereading the text that I'd studied during university, which was Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, which was a poem, an Italian poem written in the 1300s. And I really fell in love with his story, because his story was essentially a story of a man lost in a dark wood, trying to find his way through, trying to find the light and to find himself, essentially. And so very spontaneously, I started, making one piece of wax sculptures essentially for each one of his poems. And that way I thought I could do something with my hands, something creative, turn them into a piece of jewelry, but that's very rooted in literature. And as soon as I started doing that, I just knew quite immediately that this was my language. And that's how the brand began. I had no idea what I was doing, but that's what I loved about it. I didn't know the rules, so I felt this kind of liberation and freedom. And I also saw a gap in the market for jewelry that was accessible, an accessible price point, but that didn't compromise on quality or sustainable supply chain. That's kind of how the brand was born.
Exciting, yeah, indeed. So now you have a great web shop shipping worldwide and several prestigious online retailers. When you started, as you said, 7 years ago, would you have thought that you could grow such a successful business without having any physical store?
Do you know what? I think I always believed in the power of e-commerce. I thought that it was a smart way to launch a business without any capital. I didn't have any investment. So the whole business was self-funded. And I just thought it was a really great way of reaching a customer, a global customer, as you say, without the constraints of or the overheads of a physical space. So I think I always believed in the power of e-commerce. And, I think we'd seen it be done before by, many multi-brands. And I actually had the pleasure of working at a multi-brand store, which is no longer here now, but it was called Avenue 32. And I learned a lot there about how e-commerce worked. So I think I always believed in the power of it.
That helps. Of course, and you are successful now, so it was a very good choice indeed. As you mentioned, you also operate with multi-brand e-commerce sites, just to name a few again, My Teresa, Matches Fashion, Farfetch, and so on. How do you work with them? And how would you define, if you could, share that with us, although it might be difficult a bit, but you define the future of multi-brand stores?
Well, I guess for us, I've always been really clear about not over distributing. I only wanted to work with retailers that I felt had a really strong synergy with our brand and our story, and were able to tell our story beautifully. So we work really intimately and closely with all of our buyers and make sure that we're speaking to their customer, that they're representing our brand the way that we would like, and that, there's also a point of difference between our stockists and our own website. So, with about 100 stockists now, it's a bit of a juggling act, but I think the key to that was not over distributing and really maintaining the respect with each e-commerce store, making sure the selections were unique and special. And I think that the relationships all grew because we were both really mindful of each other, and were mindful not to, launch in one store and then launch their competitor in a similar way. So, it was all about just relationships, really. Everything grew because of creating really strong relationships.
Yeah, that makes totally sense. I will drop the question about asking you which of those three I mentioned is the most influencing, let's say.
Well, I think they're all influencing in different ways, ultimately. I think, each store has its own customers, speaks to its own particular audience. My Teresa, for instance, is, focused to the German market. So we can speak to their customers in a different way from, a different stockist where Germany isn't necessarily their primary market. So I think, again, it's all about making sure that you're working with each stockist in a way that makes sense for their audience. And in that sense, they're all successful in their own way.
That makes totally sense. That's a strategy to have. You're right. Each of them have, let's say, some different, asset that they can bring to you. So, as we say, it is the little touches that will turn a one-off, let's say, purchase into a regular customer. How does logistics help you to develop your business, or even potentially to innovate? What could you share about that?
I think logistics is absolutely key to customer service, and Alighieri for me has always been about the customer. That is the beginning and the end of the business. And, our brand is very personal. Each piece of jewelry has a story which is rooted in, Dante's story, but it essentially invites the customer to unlock their own story. So every piece that we send out goes with a handwritten note, which is addressed specifically to the person. If they're a repeat customer, we'll be writing to them personally and referring to their previous purchase. And we offer, next day shipping, and it is incredibly important that runs smoothly because that's the first, experience the customer will have of the brand, and that's what allows the customer to become a repeat customer. So logistics playing its part and running smoothly is absolutely fundamental to the brand and to the success of the brand, for sure.
Would you say, is there anything else than speed that is important?
I think communication, knowing when you're going to receive your item, the trust that you put in that delivery, slot, and you think, okay, I'm going to schedule my whole day around this. Everyone's busy. And I think, myself as a consumer, everyone's busy. So if I'm scheduling my day around the fact that the courier is going to be there between 2:00 and 3:00. Yeah. And I get a text that's, it's like, he's 15 minutes away. Okay, it's there. That's amazing. I think it's that trust, because ultimately your logistics partner is only an extension of, your business, and the customer doesn't think, well, the logistics company messed up. If it's late, they think, well, the brand is messed up. So it's about, great communication. And especially with Brexit, for instance, it is more difficult to ship now to Europe. Europe is a really big market for us. And that communication of, okay, if something is stuck in customs, why is it stuck in customs? What can we do as a company to alleviate that? We cover all of the duties and customs for our European customers, so that they don't have to. But you never know, at the border, something gets stopped for no reason. And the ability to have that clear, fast, and transparent communication is also really fundamental.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, obviously. And I think we speak definitely about a partnership, and the courier, the logistics provider is really the ambassador of your brand. So the brand reputation is really important to you. So yeah, definitely agree. So as we speak, I'm sure you are full of projects and different projects. So what will inspire the next one or your next challenge?
Well, we've actually just launched our first kind of store and showroom in London, in Hatton Garden, which, as you said, is the oldest jewelry quarter in London, and it's our showroom is 3 doors away from where we manufacture everything, and we can now welcome customers into our studio, which is really special, and build those personal connections, because again, we're all about narrative and listening to our customers' narratives. So that's been a really exciting move for us. And next year, I mean, so much to come. We've just launched our first ever fine jewelry collection with natural diamonds, which is really exciting. And yeah, next year is going to be full of challenges and exciting surprises, which I can't wait to share.
Yeah, it sounds like indeed. And as you are so successful, and that's really nice to hear. What tips would you recommend to your peers, to your colleagues in your industry to help them to strive? Anything you would like to share? Yeah.
I mean, I think being agile, being able to react, because the world is constantly changing. Things are always changing, and I think the pandemic has been a good example of that, as well as Brexit. I think being able to have a plan, but be able to be nimble to change it quickly, be agile, be able to react to whatever is going on, and to take advantage of opportunities where you can, and try not to be too knocked down by the blows when things don't go quite to plan, I guess.
Okay, I'm sure that it will be very helpful to a lot of your peers in this industry of jewelry. Thanks a lot, Rosh, for all the great insight that you have shared with us, and all the best to your business, to your projects, as we are also entering into the peak season at this time. So, yes, thank you very much, Rosh. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.